I guess I can call the meeting to order because I called it to order earlier. It's 7:05. And because the president is not here tonight, if it's okay with everybody else, we'll move that election of officers right up under the call to order, and we'll do that first. We have a vacancy in the vice president's office and a vacancy in the secretary treasurer's office. So I would accept nominations for vice president.
I'll make a nomination, Matt, for vice president.
I'd like to second that. That means I've got to show up. Huh?
Yeah. Doesn't matter, Matt.
That means you've been here, done that.
Any other nominations?
I move the nominations closed.
Okay, all in favor of Matt for vice president? Raise your right hand. Come on, Matt. Thank you. Okay,
Okay.
you can preside now. Whoops, those are extra agendas for tonight.
Did you get an agenda? No, I didn't actually.
Oh, there's one here, if you'd like one.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Don't worry. Moving on with the change in the order of business to the election of officers, we'll move to the secretary / treasurer.
I nominate Judy.
I can't do it. I cannot do it. I really can't. We didn't get very good news from my son's medical over the weekend. We're going to be going to Pier on the 29th, and I do not know how long I'll be gone.
I'd like to nominate Marjorie.
I'm secretary clerk.
I'll second it.
Well, you did it before.
I know.
and you're pretty good at it. Well, I feel like I'm not qualified because I haven't been here, I haven't been on it, and I don't know much about it. And you guys have been doing it. I mean, I'll do errands, I'll run that kind of stuff.
There isn't that much to do, it's just to take in the minutes and get them done.
But,
And posting the agenda, which I
Oh, and
will
I'm
post
handicapped. Okay.
I'll help you, Margie, but I
So,
just can't.
a motion's been made. Are there any other nominations? Secretary Treasurer. Move the nominations be ceased. Okay. All those in favor of Margaret Bryan for Secretary Treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Okay. So,
I'll help.
okay, George, congratulations.
I'm gonna be through the park, hopefully, but the park will be paid off, when the park land's paid off, and within this year, I think I'll be done. You know, my term's up, I think, next year.
Well, we'll go ahead and do the roll here, and just make a notation, the board was present, and the chairman, president, is not present.
No.
Due to, I guess, illness. Minutes review. We've got on here January 2011, April 2011 regular board meeting minutes. Did he submit minutes?
No, this is, all this here was the mail.
The January minutes were sent back to the secretary treasurer for changes, and they were not presented at the March meeting, and there are no minutes that I have seen from the March meeting. So
Okay.
maybe we need to think about considering that anything that was conducted in January and March is moot because nobody took minutes. So.
Well, if he didn't have them in there, there's no way we can produce them at this point.
No.
So
No.
if we don't have any minutes, we'll go on to the next.
Well, we have the April.
You do have April minutes?
I have April, but Ray, I told Ray on the phone he needs to sign them.
Well, we have to approve.
Yeah, but I said, yeah.
Do you want to read them?
No, go ahead, let them go.
And then I have minutes.
I have one other copy.
Last month also.
Did you want, here's a copy of, just a copy for the 26th. You have the one that needs to be signed
Right.
by Ray.
So did we?
after approved.
Yeah, we'll start off with the minutes from the previous meeting, September 27th. Meeting is called to order. Present were Marge O'Brien, Matt Brenner, Steve Shirtley, Judy Sass, and Paul Cameron. Marge O'Brien moved to elect by acclamation Steve Shirtley and Matt Brenner to the board of directors. Since they were the only persons to submit nominating petitions for the vacancies, no election is required. The remainder of the board elects by acclamation. Motion seconded by Judy Sass, and two received by acclamation. Citation is made in the Montana Code annotated 7-13-2262, subsection 1. Margie O'Brien moved to set the date for the next meeting of the board for October 18th, 2011. Motion seconded by Brainerd. Motion carried 4-0. Brainerd moved that the letter be written to the board president notifying him of the date for the October meeting and requested a located meeting place. The letter will also request that previous resolutions and minutes and pertinent information be brought to the meeting so business of the district can be conducted. Steve Shirtley seconded the motion. Motion carried 4-0. Brainerd moved to adjourn. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes as read? Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So,
One second.
Second. Motion's been made to approve the minutes of the September 27th meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, bring us.
Excuse me, who's going to sign that minutes of the last meeting? Who will sign?
Me,
Okay.
because I just put it so that I was the acting recorder, and I think that,
Okay. That's okay.
so they'll be signed in the book.
Yeah.
When we get that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move here to the minutes from April 26th, at least. Steve and I cannot actually,
No.
by parliamentary procedure, vote on these because we weren't here when they were done.
No.
The meeting was held, but I'll read them for our own intellectual education here. Regular meeting of the Florence County Water and Sewer District is called to order at 7 p.m. Ray Thompson, board members present, Judy Sass, Marge O'Brien. Board members absent were Lena Barlow, guest Paul Camerath, and Myrna Krantz. Ray Thompson read a letter from Lena Barlow concerning minutes of meetings. The consensus of board members present was that the minutes should include the action taken on agenda items and topics of discussion. The tapes of the meeting would be used only as backup to the above information. Remarks, conversations, and other extraneous comments are not needed in the minutes. Minutes. There were no minutes for January or March. It says no minutes for January or March were provided to the secretary treasurer. Financial report. No financial report was provided. Public comment. Myrna Krantz asked why we are paying taxes on the sewer if we aren't ever going to have one. Grace Thompson spoke to her question. Correspondence. Ray Thompson read a letter from John Cornish. Ray Thompson read two pieces of correspondence from Pat Cummins. Old business. In order to complete the application for liability insurance, the district must have a budget adopted. Discussion was held on amending the 2010 budget, and each line item was discussed. Judy Sass moved to adopt the amended 2010 budget as the budget for 2011. Mark Bryan seconded the motion. Motion carried 3-0. Clarification was made on a resolution adopting the 2011 budget. Since the entire budget was approved by resolution, each line item expenditure does not have to have a separate resolution in order to be paid. All board members present agreed to this clarification. Judy Sass will place inquiries with several attorneys to check on per-hour costs, availability for questions from the board, and Township County Water Sewer Districts. The decision on filling the vacancy on the board of directors was tabled until the next meeting due to the absence of a board member at tonight's meeting. Next board meeting will be held Tuesday, May 15th. Ray Thompson will check with the school and see if the administration is still available. The meeting was adjourned at 9:10 p.m. Okay, this was April 26th.
that was our last meeting until you guys were put on the board.
Okay, so that's basically old history.
Yeah.
But the first meeting, we had a chance to have them. We really can't approve them.
We're the president here.
That's the rate, gotta be here to approve them, yeah.
Well, he doesn't have to be, except these guys weren't
Yeah,
on board yet.
yeah.
So I guess we'll put that on the agenda for next time, and also January and March.
Yeah, if they are available.
What do we do, Matt, if they were never done? The minutes.
The minutes?
for January.
Well, there's not much that you
No.
can do, and we're
Just
changing
put no
things
minutes.
anyways. We'll just put this to one side for a moment here and started off on the agenda here, item 2, regular board meeting minutes. Okay. So the next thing we need to look at here is the financial report. I think that's the meat of what's going on here. And I would ask the two of you, as having been on the board, are you aware of any contracts that the district is contracted to for insurance or any other obligations that have been assumed?
No, Ray has not brought the insurance to the board yet.
So as you know, we have no contract with an insurance company.
Correct.
We have not hired an attorney.
Correct.
We don't know anything like that. And there's been no contracts made on any kind of septic pumping or state aid or anything like that. So
As far as we know, no.
so we are relatively unencumbered then with obligations to external
Yeah.
entities. District records. This is financial report. And the information we've got here right now, as of the Valley County Ledger, okay, with the report here of 8/11. Okay, this is actually, the date stamps 9/14/11. So I'm assuming that's relatively current, okay, the current entry. The district has a fund total here, account total of $7,305.73.
And to
That's-
receive that money, we have to put in the request to the treasurer, and they will send a check.
Right. And I'm sure that that's part of the protocol here for a normal sewer district that had infrastructure that they were making payments on, running the money into the county and logging in and out to take care of things. So that's where we're at as far as what the county has on hand. And I see we've got the statement here, June 30th, 2011, from Farmer State Bank, which looks to be a savings account, which we have a total of $13,143.69. Okay,
How much was that, Matt? I'm sorry.
$13,143.69. Okay. And we also have Farmer State for a checking account. And this is date 9/26/11,
Okay.
and the balance in the checking account is $2,130.53. So we've got I'm just eyeballing this, we've got about $23,000 at the behest of the district.
So What is it?
Yep.
How do we know, since there's no records from January to today, other than what we were given in this income statement on the 31st, what expenditures and incomes were done, like if there's a discrepancy in the checking and a discrepancy in
Right now, we don't.
We don't.
we just don't know that, okay?
That's an unknown, and that's a question that's gonna have to be resolved.
This, just for you guys' information, is the last financial statement the board received, that had wrong dates and things on it, but that's the last financial statement, and that's the type of statement that the board has used. You can have any kind of statement you want, but that's what we have used in the past. So,
I don't know what they used, since that was president of you.
they didn't have one.
Well, I
Oh,
think-
checking account balance, that was it.
Okay, I think what we need to do is, when we get done with the meeting here, in order to get the true accounting of the year, okay, would be to contact the bank and get copies of the past statements. And that will tell us pretty much everything that's gone on, that could be touched.
From December to present, yeah.
Well, I could stop in and ask, but our names aren't on anything anymore on the bank, but I could ask them.
And they
I-
charge so much.
Well, I understand that, but I think that there's probably a way around this.
I'm sure.
And if Ray cannot be forthcoming about things, then I will talk to Regina, the county attorney, and see what can be done. Okay.
I think Ray would be forthcoming. I just don't think he knows.
Well,
Well,
if he doesn't know, then obviously then we can get the information. The
Yeah.
information's with the bank, and that's all.
I'm sure somebody would give it to me.
Yep.
So, just so I understand what you guys are saying, we don't have all the records in one place.
Not right here.
No, not here, but there's one place.
They
At
do
the
exist in
president's
one
home.
place?
Yeah, at the
Oh,
president's home.
to our knowledge,
Okay.
To our knowledge.
they
Okay.
are supposed to be in one place.
And the previous secretary treasurer had all of the records and the financial, or the bank statements and everything.
Up for me.
And they're in a box in a garage, and the person that's gonna bring them tonight doesn't feel well. So
Okay,
that's, I don't think there's any missing records.
right.
I don't
We just
think-
haven't had the opportunity to put it all together.
Right, no.
Exactly.
It's just been neglected, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Just-
Just doing housekeeping here.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to figure, I'm
These
just
two,
trying
yeah.
It's all on the board.
to get up to speed. We're probably in the same boat pretty much.
Yeah. We kind of all are, because we haven't had a meeting yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ground
we'll get
level.
it fixed.
it's good.
Okay.
Matt, I think that Ray intended to talk about those records under the financial report, because he was gonna put them in his pickup, he said, and that was the district records that he was talking about, not the financial records, that piece, I believe.
Another point of information, please. While we're talking about this, can we, since Margie is now our secretary treasurer, can we request from the president to add her to the account at the banks?
Well, I think we should,
I will go and tell him. I will.
yeah,
We'll have a vote here.
Okay.
I might be getting ahead, but I just want
Let's stick here to the agenda. Okay. County tax balance, other balances, post office box rental.
and we've got, this is a,
We've got a box rental due, past due, $42 for 12 months, or $21 for 6 months. Okay. Which we'll have to set this to one side and see what we can bucket checkbook. Yeah. I have a question for you. Other than the statements we get from the bank and periodic message from clerk and recorder's office, do we get any mail?
Hardly any anymore.
Okay. I mean, you know, we're no longer doing a request for proposal or anything like that, and dealing with the contractors and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And,
that,
Judy?
we brought in that box tonight, 6 months worth of mail.
Okay.
I thought if I could, when we redo this, renew it for 6 months.
No.
1 month old.
Do you want to turn that into a motion?
I so moved. We renew the post office box rent for 6 months period.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to pay the post office bill for a 6-month period. Is there any discussion? Marge?
Yes, I can take that bill and go up to Ray's and look for the checkbook tomorrow. Because 2 people have to sign it, Ray's on it, he can sign it, then I can take it to the bank and get my signature going and sign it and get it paid.
Okay.
Because I think Ray and Lena were the only 2 on this, and now Lena's been out since way last spring. But Ray will have to sign the check.
Any other discussion about the post office bill? Okay. Motion's been made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's passed. Now, we need a motion to put Marge on the checking account.
I move that Margie O'Brien being our new Secretary Treasurer be added to the account at Farmer State Bank with our current President Ray.
Okay. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Judy Sass. Discussion? We already have.
In the past, we have had 3 signatures in case someone's gone during the month when a check needs to be written. And in the past, it's been the Vice President, the President, and the Secretary Treasurer. I'm not saying Margie's going to be gone, but
You never
you
know.
never know. And then,
Ray may be in Alaska hunting also.
Okay.
so would you be willing to amend your motion to?
So amended to
Okay.
facilitate the
I just
business.
think the record shows we may need that.
Okay, so the motion's been amended so that, request the bank to put Marge O'Brien on as Secretary Treasurer and got Brendan on as Vice President.
And you think that you'll have to go find something down there?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, motion is passed.
I'll take that bill before you forget
Oh,
to
yeah.
give it to me. And I'll try to take care of it tomorrow.
Public comment. You're the only one here. It's your turn.
You guys are doing great.
Well, we're trying to settle through it.
Okay. Agenda item number 6 is correspondence, and we had Lena Barlow's letter of resignation.
I didn't. He said he had it. This is from Regina, this was from the treasurer. So, not here.
So we do know that she resigned, so,
I have a copy of this here from the newspaper.
okay. That's good enough.
Many times they don't even submit a
Moving on, group of letters and other correspondence be sorted and opened by secretary before November meeting. I guess we did that.
Kind of didn't open these things, but
Okay.
this
Oh.
is concerning the election, this part, you know, for someone to sign in that I called and asked Regina for. So that was just garbage, really.
We'll move on to old business. District liability insurance. Any comments?
I have no idea what it's.
We don't have any. We've always had it. It's been over a year. The only reason I can see us even thinking about it in the next 3 or 4 months is errors and omission insurance for the board. If someone decides they don't like our actions, we don't have errors and omissions insurance. They can sue us individually You know, that's the reason the district has had liability and errors and omissions.
I thought there was a size and some other things that come into play that where we would not need that.
Okay, there's a fine point here about elected officials, okay? As a state legislator, as a member of the Public Service Commission, normally a public official can only be sued for an action that is beyond their color of authority, if you will. The statute, you know, it has to be something that they're doing beyond their statutory appointed duties, okay? And were that not the case, virtually every elected official in the state would be subject to lawsuits all the time. Now, if you act beyond your capacity, and you attempt to do something, for example, let's say that somebody from the water and sewer district went up and beat on somebody's door and said, you know, I demand that I check your plumbing and, you know, check your drain field kind of thing. Well, that would be totally out of the realm of what the sewer district's responsibility is, because one thing, you're going into private property, which this district has nothing to do with, okay, to something that was bought and paid for, private property of that individual's, and pretending that you've got authority to be poking around there, okay? So when we were doing, when the board was actually doing the contract and the proposals and testing and a variety of things like that, probably made, in dealing with contractors and things like that, probably made sense to have liability insurance at that time. At this point, I don't know that it makes a lot of sense. In the one board meeting that I went to quite a while back, there was, as a matter of fact, they had somebody there from the insurance company. That was in the summer. Okay.
Yeah.
Was there at one
No,
meeting
it
with
was a
the
different
different, oh, it's a different one over.
And a big deal was made about vehicle insurance and driving around and say,
Going to the courthouse and having.
yeah, I thought that
Slips
was,
and fall in the meeting.
Yeah.
well, I thought it was pretty frivolous.
Yeah.
And
Well, it was an extra $1,000. District was paying, what, $2,500, I think, to get back to it.
so I would say at this point, at least in my mind, have a discussion on this if you want. What is the feeling of the members here about having any kind of liability insurance, at least in the short run?
My uneducated question, being smart ass, is I think for the minute's sake we ought to like table that and research it. Just to call.
We don't have to table because it's not a
Okay.
motion.
Okay.
We're having a discussion.
Okay. But I mean, I think we ought to, for the sake of covering this tonight, since we're all new and it's something that the president has put on the agenda and he's not here and whatever, we should just make a phone call to the insurance commissioner or someone and ask if it's necessary and why.
And you can't ask the insurance.
Well, I know,
Because they-
because
Most-
it's there. No, I know, but
Most of the districts in the state are covered with liability insurance and errors and omission. Most of the districts in the state have a system. There you are, that.
But once you have infrastructure and
You
you
need
need to
the
maintain
people,
it,
yes.
you don't, you
You have
have to have.
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah.
And
But
what,
I think some of the issue over the last year is when the underwriter says, yeah, we'll write it for you, that agreement is for 30 days. Okay? So if that agreement is not brought to the board within that 30 days, that quote is no good. You got to go back and get another one, and that has happened.
30 days.
That has happened for almost a year. And so we don't have a current quote, we did get, the last quote we got was $1,200. That was liability and errors and omissions. It was not Ford automobile coverage, but we don't own this property. If someone slips on a step, I don't know, that, but that is not a burning issue with me. I don't know.
Not me either,
You know.
but
And
I'm just thinking that,
I'd sure be in favor of just holding off on it until whenever we need it.
I agree, but I think for the sake of the minutes, that we're going to hold off and research.
Well,
Okay.
what I'll do is,
Just
I
so
will-
that it shows we've taken action.
I will, look into this and, maybe talk to the county attorney or somebody at the state level about what's normally done, with orders like this.
So I'd surely hate to spend the money if it's not necessary.
Well, the park board has, but it's to cover the park,
Exactly.
It doesn't cover me putting up the agenda.
There's a fire, I think, the liability insurance for the district,
Right.
and all of the questions we've asked from Mako and from
Mhm.
other insurance people.
And that's the Ray's place.
Hopefully, it's never been brought to a meeting, but it's there, I think. So that might give some insight. And
Okay. We've moved on here to other old business, transfer of district records and equipment. And again, we've got partial records here. Actually, mostly what we've got is the new mail.
That's all we got, yeah.
So, I guess we'll have to pursue this with the president and see if we can get him to attend the meeting.
Question, if he chooses to continue to not be available for whatever reason.
Excuse me.
I, for one, don't really want to continue these meetings like this where our hands are tied. We can't do,
so once we get the records, we should be okay.
He said usually he's not here on November 22nd, but he would like to have a meeting November 22nd. And that's the regular Tuesday at the fire hall, the fourth Tuesday. But I said, well, I don't know, no, and I don't know about you two, if you have plans for
I don't know.
For Thanksgiving.
I don't have plans
Okay.
for being gone.
Yeah. For the 2 years I've been on the board, it has been a struggle to get meetings held for our bylaws, which is fourth Tuesday at the fire hall. We have that night reserved at the fire hall.
Mhm.
If we change dates, we can't meet at the fire hall.
They're busy.
And there was never a meeting held without the full board previous to, if someone on the board could not be there, the meeting was canceled or changed.
Mhm.
And I guess my feeling is that we can have a meeting,
It's
the three of us. Steve and Ray can't be here, there's three of us.
We're not on that on the agenda, but I agree.
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
No, we're talking about transfer records and equipment, and I'm just really concerned that since April, nothing has been brought together, and now we're another month into it, and it didn't happen again tonight. And I'd like to get everything so that what we're about can take place at a meeting.
Mhm.
It's very,
Okay.
When I go out and try to get that check line tomorrow, and I'll just see what I can load in my car. Okay.
Move to new business. Meeting place and schedule. Okay, that's pretty simple. Support Tuesday,
7
of the
o'clock
month,
at fire hall.
7 o'clock at fire hall. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, as vice president, that's where it's gonna be, when it's gonna be.
good.
If you can't make it, call, send an
Yeah, just call.
email, but the
Yeah.
meeting will go on.
Good.
There's no reason why we can't have a quorum to do a meeting.
in our bylaws about if you can't make it, well, you just won't be there, we'll have a meeting, or it doesn't need to be changed?
I wouldn't think that it has to be in the bylaws. It's normal parliamentary procedure that, you know, if you can't make it, as long as there's a quorum, the meeting is held.
Which would be 3.
Yeah.
3, yeah.
Yeah, if you've got 5 members, yes.
3.
Mhm.
It sure helps set a schedule if we're gonna stick to our regular stuff. It
Well-
really helps
So that-
me.
That will be November 22nd, the week of Thanksgiving, 2 days before. That's the
That's
next
right.
2
regular,
days before.
2 days before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Mhm. So we'll just set it, and if you can't make
Yeah.
it, Steve, you know, because
No, I'm just,
yeah, okay. Well, if I can't make it, hey, I won't be there, but call someone. Okay, good. Wonderful.
Okay. Move on here to development of 2012 business priorities and direction. We'll open that for discussion. I guess I would start off with the fact that having no infrastructure, either for water or sewer, we really have no business. And our priority should probably, in my mind, the priority and direction would be taking care of the surplus that we've got taxpayers paying for something that doesn't exist, okay? And finding the way to return the surplus to the taxpayers and to, at the very minimum, make a motion at some point to reduce our assessment on people in the district and call a public meeting to discuss that.
I would like to, I had asked Ray to please put on the agenda the setting of a date for a public hearing. Not a public meeting, but a public hearing, because if we're going to change the taxes, it has to be a public hearing. So if we, legally, right now, the tax should be at $29.
Yeah.
Because the previous board changed it to $20, but they did not have a public hearing to do it. And the former deputy county attorney says you cannot change it without a public hearing. So legally, right now, our taxes should be $29.
But they'll probably come in at 20 again.
Oh, yeah, they will, there's no question. But if we can set a date for a public hearing and to discuss either keeping the tax, lowering the tax, or getting rid of it, that is pretty much what we need to do prior to the other action we look at. And if we will need the county attorney, I believe, to clarify Ms. Maher's opinion that she gave last year on that. So if people understand that they really should be being charged $29 a year for nothing, I think we get a pretty good turnout at the meeting. And I think that's the business priority and direction for the initial clarification of that, because it's not correct the way it is. So.
Well, I think, you know, it's a sign of government malfeasance to impose a tax on people for a service for a facility that does not exist. And I'm
Well, a couple of county commissioners.
always been strenuously opposed to that.
Thought we fought a war over that once, didn't we?
We did.
Well, I know a couple of county commissioners think we should be done with this sewer board.
Well, I understand that there are steps that have to be taken.
And that's starting
And
the
if
public
getting
meeting.
step is the right step, then
Yeah.
I think that is step number 1.
It is.
ASAP.
In discussing this, okay, priorities and direction, Okay. The real question here would be, well, I'll just go ahead. Agenda items for next meeting. As this is on the agenda, I still will make motions as a chairman, but I think we'll do this. I'm going to move that we consider reducing the ratepayers, members of the utility district, their next tax assessment as being 0, and I would set a time for a public hearing in December.
Question. I don't think December might be a good month, the way people are so busy, just for Christmas, I know. That's all I've got to say, we need a meeting.
Well, that's why this is a motion that I'm making here, and
But usually by early December.
Yeah, they feel I'm so busy with Christmas, I mean, that's
so
I hear that.
so what
Well-
about January?
Then they don't come.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody
December,
comes.
maybe early December, I don't know. What is it?
Probably early December, but I have a question.
Sure.
If Judy's point of direction is the public agenda or the public hearing in order to make it legal for us to do that, would that not be the time to do that?
Mhm.
I understood
That
that the motion is necessary to hold the public hearing.
Mhm.
Don't you have to make a motion for the public hearing?
No, you make a motion for the public hearing. After the hearing, then the board makes the decision on whether it be eliminated.
Well, okay.
But there has to be
There has to be a
subject for,
There has to be a reason for the meeting,
there you go.
for the hearing. And the reason for the hearing, which is my motion, is to reduce the levy to 0. Okay, and that is the reason for the public hearing. So the public hearing
Yeah, public hearing.
is to reduce the levy to 0.
I understand.
You got that?
No, no, I'm ready. You're not writing it? Darn you.
We got it.
You got it, thank you.
You got it?
Oh.
Okay, anyway.
So when do we want to set that?
I think we probably have to have 30 days notice.
And the second for your motion.
Pardon?
And the second.
And the second for the motion, that's true.
I will second that.
Well, let's see here.
Okay, we'll enter into discussion now, further discussion. We're flying a little bit loose.
I thought you were taking notes, Judy.
Hmm?
I thought you were taking notes.
Well, let's see, notice of intention to levy tax, 2304. The notice must be given by posting in 5 public places, by publishing a copy, by forwarding by mail at least 10 days prior to the hearing, a copy of the notice addressed to the owners and purchasers under contract for deed of taxable real property within the district.
We have to send something to them?
And send them a letter, yeah. Tell them when the meeting is, where it is, what time it is, and why it is.
So it's got to be published in the newspaper and?
No.
Just public notification by letter.
Right.
Well, 5 places and then a letter to everybody in the district, is that what you're saying?
Thanks, Steve.
It's posted in 5 public places
Well,
and a letter to everybody in the district?
and it, 5 public places in Florence could be the bank and
That's easy,
but yeah.
Letter.
And there is no place basically to publish it in a newspaper. I mean, you can, but you spend way too much money. And on a deal like this, they're not going to see it as much as they would see the letter that comes to them. And, that's all under,
What part of the code are you looking at?
it's 713-2304, but the publishing and everything comes under 7/1/21, and 22. And those are the new rules that they adopted back in, I don't know, 93 or something like that. And it's the legislature's rule that the notice has to inform the owners of the taxable real property of the hearing, and the giving of any further notice is impracticable and unnecessary to the assurance of due process of law, so we don't have to send it out twice. And the final paragraph says that this is the only notice that will be sent for the meeting, yeah.
Judy said, when we had a list, we had the, the names on the printout, you know, that's and all that stuff, but I never saw any of that.
Well, it's right here, the new list is right here. And I just typed them on my typewriter, typed the labels, and you guys put them on